Okay guys, so I'm currently inside Substance Painter. So as you can see here, I have different UI than yours probably because I kinda edit my UI. So I placed my library here on the left side, my layers here, and properties on the right side so that I could get a large space in the middle, the texture. So anyways, so we can start importing our model here. So let's click File, New, and our document resolution has to be in 4K so that we could get that crispy details. Then we can hit Select, and let's find the mesh that we have created or exported. So it's here, the sci-fi sneaker underscore final. So let's double click that. Then let's hit OK. Now it's here and it's ready to be textured. Let me move this one to the right. Oh, I cannot move it further. So I think this one, need to move it to the left so that we could get that big view. So if you're not familiar with Substance Painter, this is not a correct tutorial. Oh, by the way, as you can see here guys, you can see we have a flipped normals here. So let's double check that inside Blender. Let's reopen that. Let's bring back our face orientation. Yes, as you can see here, we have flipped normals. We found an issue here inside Substance, so this ones can be fixed easily. I don't understand why we still get that flip normals even though we already have calculated this part outside. So anyways, let's select them, shift select them, the pink one. We already fixed this like twice already. I don't know, I think it's because we added a new material. Okay, now let's hit tab to edit mode. Select all, mesh, normals, and recalculate outside. Okay, now it's ready to export it again. File, export, FBX, and let's replace that. Now let's go back to Substance Painter. Now we don't need to re-import this. We can just go to edit, project. Oh, we don't need to click this. We have this option here, report mesh. Oh, sorry. We need to turn on only the selected objects. File, export, FBX. We need to turn on this thing. I don't understand why Blender is always resetting the settings. So let's replace this. Don't forget to turn on selected objects. Do the same thing, edit, import mesh, and now we got this. And everything's fixed, okay? So if you're not familiar with Substance Painter, I highly recommend you guys to start learning this because we're going to use the software for our texturing because it's very powerful. As you can see it here. I'm selecting my right mouse button to adjust the lighting like this. If you're not familiar, I'm gonna teach you some basic controls. So shift right click to change the lighting, just drag it right like that. Alt, then left mouse button to rotate, then Alt middle mouse button to like pan all over like that. So these are basically basic key maps. So to adjust your hardness or size, I'm just gonna control right click, then hover left and right. And to adjust the rotation, left click while holding control. And control right click and up and down to change the hardness. And that's basically it. These are just easy controls. So the way you texture inside Substance Painter, it's like texturing in Photoshop or creating design inside Photoshop. It's basically the same, guys. Like, you have layers here, and the only difference is that you're just adding materials to it. So I think we need to fix this because we have hard edges. So we need to go back to Blender, select them all, right click and shade smooth, so that we could get that smooth edges. Let me bring back the solid, so that we could get that smooth edge here. So let's re-export that file, export FBX, and let's replace that. You can see here we have hard edges, and we can re-import that. And let's zoom it once again. Now we have smooth edges. Don't forget to always do that inside your 3D model programs, like also in Maya you have that shade smooth option, and in Blender you have that shade smooth, shade all smooth, shade flat. So if you're gonna change it to shade flat, you can see hard edges here. Let me turn off the face orientation. You can see here we have hard edges, so when we try and export this to Substance, we can get those hard edges like before. So I do recommend to smooth them out. So this will not work for every mesh, because if you have bad topology or you don't have any supporting edge, what will happen is that you will still get those hard edges. So having a good topology will also help smoothen your object. Okay, so anyways, let's save this. We can now close our Blender file, and we can now start focusing on Substance Painter, and we will start texturing it. Okay, let's go. Okay guys, so we can now start working on our texturing for our shoe. So first things first, we need to learn on how we gonna texture this part. So I got this from a mentor previously, so he teaches me on how to properly texture a model. So first things first is to add base material to each parts, like the color, so that it will guide you throughout your texturing process. Like, it will help you to have an idea on which parts are the same material and which parts are different. Also the colors, and how are you going to like implement the reference inside the 3D, like the one we have created previously. The reference or the sketch that we have created, we added colors in that, so we're going to implement this inside the 3D. So that's why we need to add base color. Next is we're going to add discoloration. Like, this is not going to be a base color only, we need to manually add discoloration on the the tight parts here, because in real life dirt will be collecting, or moisture, on this part, so discoloration will occur on your shoe. Also, let's say this is a metal. If you see cars, there's no actual perfect color for the cars, because sometimes the paint will discolor over time. So we'll also add a little bit of dark parts on this. The parts only that kind of exposed to sunlight, or like it's raining or what, it's gonna be collecting water here and get those moisture, and it will change the color over time. And this one as well, it will add discoloration under here, and each parts we're gonna add discoloration. So as you can see here, this is our reference. We mainly use black, yellow, red, and gray. So let me move it under my second monitor here. So first is we're going to add a fill layer. So let's name this black. Then let's add another one. Let's add red, yellow, and gray. And we also had that dark gray. Okay, we can go delete this. So we have 5 colors. Next is we're going to add folders to each part for this one. So every time I click yellow, I'm gonna hit Control G, red, Control G, dark gray, Control G, Control G, Control G. So it will give you folders to each part. And I'm gonna rename this the same thing: yellow, red, dark gray, gray, and black. Okay. Let me collapse these folders. Now we can start with the yellow first. Let's change the color here. So when we click this, we can go to base color and change this to yellow. Don't worry if the color is not yet final, as long as you get the guide. So go back to red here, the filler layer, red. By the way, guys, I'm not teaching you an actual tutorial to Substance Painter because, you know, this is not a Substance Painter tutorial. I'm just showing you on how I texture it, but I think you'll still get the idea on how I'm gonna texture it. So I still do recommend you guys to learn how to use Substance Painter. Okay, so after that we need to add black mask each of them so that we could add to each mesh. So let's go to yellow first, right click and add a black mask. Red, right click, black mask. Do the same thing. Okay. Our base color to our mesh. So let's start with the black. So I'm gonna hit 4 on your keyboard and I'm gonna select individually here. You can select this one, mesh fill, so that every time I select the mesh over here, it will automatically add colors like the one that we have separated in Blender. So we also add black here. And for our soul, it's also black. The wings, this part is black. As you can see, guys, I only clicked this one and it automatically added the other parts of the wings because we used the same UV because we duplicated that inside Blender, right? If you guys remember. So it will help us to texture it quick. So next is we're gonna add red to this one. We go to red, click this one, our black mask. Red, I'm gonna hit this. Our laces are red also. As you can see, is every time I add red to our laces, it's not adding everything because we did not duplicate our laces, or we did not stack our UVs. So that's why we need to add them individually, but it's okay because it's going to be easy. Okay, next is what else? Oh, this one, and this one's red, and this one's gray. So let's go to dark gray or gray. Let's click this. Oops. I think that's already gray. Dark gray. I think this one's dark gray. And this one, dark gray. This one's red. Forgot to add red for this one. And for this one, we need to change this to red. Oops, only the circles. This ones are yellow. And this one is, I think I'm gonna make it black. By the way, I don't think we have dark gray color. Oh, I think this dark gray is too much dark gray. We need to change this a little bit of dark. Seeing the reference, it's not that dark. It's more like a neutral dark. So the gray one here is not usable, so let me delete this. So I'm just gonna call it dark gray, or let's rename this gray. Sorry. Dark gray is not usable. I will rather use black. Okay, so for this one, I think I'm gonna change this to yellow. The cannons. What am I adding? Okay. As you can see here, we have problems. Oh, we need to open Blender again. Look, as you can see here, but don't worry, it's an easy fix. You can see here it's overlapping. That's why we need to double check always our model before exporting. But it's okay, it's an easy fix, so there's nothing to worry about. So let's export this. FBX, selected objects. Then let's go back to Painter, edit, and re-import mesh. And it will be fixed. You can see here it's already fixed, but the texture will still remain as long as the UV is correct. Let's save this. I'm gonna name this sci-fi sneaker texture. Save it. And we can now add the grays for our wings. Oops, okay. This one's, I think I'm gonna change this one to yellow. Like that. What about this one? This one's yellow as well. Or this one. This one's yellow, then red on top. We'll check. What if I'm going to change this to yellow? I'm currently experimenting, so everything's not yet final, and I'm not actually following what's on the reference. I will do what works or somewhat, as long as it works. Dark gray. This one's red. Oops. This one. This one. Let me try red. Let's bring back. It looks cheap or sloppy for me. Because I think I added too much red. The red has to be a little bit. Let me change this to black. Let me remove this one. And let's change this to black instead. Okay. I want the red colors to be minimized because I don't want this one to look like a McDonald's or what. So I think I'm gonna, should I change the laces? Because it looks exaggerating. I don't want the colors to be look exaggerated, guys. So I want to minimize the reds. Just focus more on blacks. So I want to change this one to black. Let me remove the gray first. Okay, this one should be dark gray. Okay. A little bit of red, yellows. I think it looks good. This one, hey, I don't like this one. I need to change this to yellow. Then remove the red. This one as well, I kind of don't like the red here. It's too exaggerated. Always check the silhouette, guys. Like, if you're spreading the colors correctly, because sometimes your coloring will be look exaggerated, and it will pop. It doesn't look premium or somewhat. I cannot explain, but that's how I look at colors. If you're popping too much colors, it will look cheap. So I do tend to use like a balanced color so that it will look premium. I think I'm gonna change this to gray. Let me remove the red here. Like that, then add a gray. the body for this one. What if I'm going to change this to black? But I added gray to it. Okay. I think it's fine. Black and white, black and white. Well, it's actually not yet final. I can still add shades here. Like, this is not completely black. I'm just gonna make it like a little bit of dark black for this one as well. I think I'm gonna add dark gray for this one. So I think I'm gonna add more dark colors to it inside here. So it's gray, and I'm gonna add another dark gray. So we deleted our dark gray previously, which is, we're still gonna use it. So I'm gonna make this darker. Then we can reset this, clear mask. Then we can add the dark gray here. But you guys, if you want to remove something, you can just hit X and you can see the value here. Black means it's not adding one, it means you're adding colors. And I'm currently in mesh fill, so every time I click the mesh here, it will automatically fill the colors to the ones that I'm selecting. Okay. Should I add more dark blacks? Dark grays. This one, I'm gonna try adding dark gray over here. I don't think it looks good. Doesn't look good, so let me add this one here. Black is better for this one, so let me remove the dark. And instead, let's add that black over here. Remove the gray. This one looks good. And we need to add gray for this one. Okay. Now it looks balanced. This one, I think we need to change this to dark gray. Oh, it's the soul. I think we only need to add what's inside here, so let's turn on 3D and 2D. So basically this is the one, as you can see here. So let's hit 4 once again. And we can click this polygon fill, so that we're just gonna highlight only this part. As you can see here, it's changing, right? Because we're only adding on this part, only in the inside. Polygon fill. Sometimes, guys, when I try to speak in English, I always pause and I'm thinking, because it's difficult for me to talk straight in English. So yeah, basically English is not my first language though, but I'm trying my best to communicate with you guys, so don't worry about it. Okay, so we added already. This one is overlapping. You can just fix that later in this one, Blender. So we open Blender here. So what is this? Oh, this one. Okay, we can just move this to the left a little bit, like that. Or we can just fix the mesh, then turn this thing on, proportional editing, just move it like there to hide those parts. Just a minor fix, guys. Just moving back and forth to Blender and Substance, so it's nothing to be worried about. You can start fixing this. Okay. Now we can re-export this once again. We need to align this one. No, it's okay. So let's re-export this. FBX, selected objects, and go to edit and re-import mesh. And it's fixed. No more overlapping parts. Okay. Control S. Let's say I'm gonna go back to paint mode and we'll check our mesh. Looks good. Everything's fine. So we only have 5 colors and everything's fine already. Let's say I'm gonna change this one to gray instead of red. Let me remove this one. This is just an experiment. I just want to know how it looks if the laces aren't red, because you know it's too aggressive. The colors is too aggressive, you know, and I don't want that. I'm gonna add gray. Oops, accidentally click it. Okay, let me check. I think red is better. Okay, let me bring back the red. I'm Control Z. That's my limit. Sorry. Okay, let's add once again. Oops. Oh, we forgot this one. Okay, let's make it red. Okay, I think that's basically it. Or I could just change this one later. But at least we have a good start. So I'm gonna hit Control S to save our file. This one's look too aggressive. Let me try to change this to dark gray. Let me remove this. Remove the red one, then add dark gray. Then change this one to red, right? Oops. Add a red. Looks good. Yep, it looks good because this one's red, this one's red as well. Yeah, we're minimizing the reds because we don't want to make it look aggressive. Well, we're mainly making this as black and gray, focusing those. And these colors, red and yellows, are the contrasts only. Some color contrasts. Later we'll add glow here, yellow glow, but we're manually going to texture it like that here because we have some details on it. As you can see here, it automatically adds the parts. Then we will also add some stitches here, like here. Like we're gonna manually paint that later. That will be the most time-consuming part on our texturing, because adding stitches will be hard, you know. So I think we have finished adding our base colors. We could just change this later. As long as we had these base color, then it will be easy for us to determine which materials are rough or shiny, something like that, like this part. After we add the base color, we need to add some discoloration. Like we also need to add those roughness, because as you can see here, our overall material is shiny, which in real life shoes aren't shiny, right? It has to be more like a leathery or in a fabric way. how it looks. So it's a good start, and I'm gonna save this, and let's move on to our next task, is to add discoloration and some roughness to our object. And I also might add some more colors inside the folders here, probably. So I'm gonna show you later. Okay, so let's move on. Okay guys, so we can now start texturing, but before that we need to bake our maps. So I cannot explain to you guys what is baking inside Painter, but I will show you the results right away. It's kind of straightforward because this is not intended tutorial for baking. That will be a separate tutorial, but I will still show you on how I add some ambient occlusion to our model and some curvature maps. Okay, so first let's go to texture set over here, and you can find, or you can just scroll down until you find this mesh maps, and you have this option, bake mesh maps. Let's click that, and I'm gonna turn off normal and ID because we're not baking any low to high poly model, I mean high to low poly model. Okay, then we will set our output size to 4K over here, anti-aliasing to 64, and that's basically it. And let's leave everything in default. Okay, now we can start baking. Click bake selected textures. Okay, we're now done baking. We can now see the results here. Let's click return to painting mode, and it's already done. As you can see here, we have those ambient occlusion. You can see a little bit of shadows over here. Some of you guys might not notice, but let's say we're gonna turn on our ambient occlusion over here, and this is our ambient occlusion. If you guys don't have any idea what is ambient occlusion, as you can see here, we have distorted ambient occlusion over here because we are sharing UVs with this one. That's why it will happen all the time if you're sharing UVs, but it's not visible for this one. You can see it's not that visible, but we can still erase this later. If you want to get clean results, I do recommend you guys to create separate UVs because it will get these kind of weird textures or shadows if we are using shared UVs. Because what happened is, when you bake this part, let's say you have dark parts here, then it will duplicate all over again, like similar to this one. That's why it gathered all the shadows. Unlike for this part, they don't have any artifacts because they have separate UVs. But this one, I guess we have similar UVs, but it's just they don't have any complications because there's only the two of us, right? But this one, we have a lot. 2, 4, 6. We have 12 in total. That's why it gives complications. But as you can see, our wings here, they don't have that much artifacts because they're kind of exposed compared to our cannons over here. They are tight, so it will be difficult for the system to bake. That's why it get these kind of artifacts. Okay, but overall, the results is good, and it's kind of enough to like render, like because once we are rendering, we're just gonna render it far, like here. We're not even rendering it at this close, right? So it's not that even obvious, because we're just gonna render this 2 pieces here of a shoe. Then it's not even that obvious for the micro details for the viewers to see, right? So anyways, we can now start working on the textures on our discoloration. So let's start with our bottom part here, the sole. Okay, so basically these colors aren't final yet. We will still need to create individual parts. Like for example, for the soul, it has its own folder over here. Like for this part, the metal what do you call that, metal panels here, it will also have its own folder. So what basically I'm doing here, as you can see, I have 5 colors. It's just to help us guide throughout our texturing. Like we can see how we divide parts to avoid visual cluttering, because let's say we don't have these colors over here, we're just texturing right away, then it will be difficult for us to like visualize what color should we decide to put over here, you know, so that when we're working throughout our texturing, it will be easy for us to determine what kind of materials, what kind of colors that we're gonna place. Like it will be easy for us to decide or to think what kind of materials and which part are divided, which parts are metal, which parts are not, something like that. That's why it's very important to like divide our parts first using base colors. Okay, so we will now start creating a folder by clicking here, and let's move it on top, because we're gonna work it on top. But before that, we will group the colors here into one. Like I'm gonna shift select them, Control G, and I'm gonna name these base color, guide. Okay, so that we could just unhide them in just one click like that. As you can see here, we can see the ambient occlusion. It looks cool, right? Compared to, let's say I'm gonna delete the ambient occlusion over here, you can see the difference. There's no shadowing and it doesn't look kind of realistic, right? So I'm gonna bring it back and Control Z. Now we have the ambient occlusion over here. You can see the shadows like that. Okay, so anyways, let's bring back our base color and let's rename our folder over here as soul. You can name it whatever you want as long as you know the parts, because I'm 100% not even sure what are the name of these parts. I named this as cannon because it looks like a cannon, but I don't even know what is this, but it looks like a cannon. I got this from the references that I got, that I gathered, you know. And I think I'm gonna name this head. Well, it depends on you and how you name your layers, as long as you know which is which. Okay, so after we name this soul, we're gonna add a fill layer over here. Let's click this. Now we have a fill layer inside our soul folder over here. As you can see, it fills everything, right? Because we forgot to add a black mask for our soul. So let's add a black mask for our folder here. Let's right click the soul, add a black mask, and so that it we'll have we'll get those what do you call that, a polygon, you know. We can add a color to the polygon. But for white mask, you can erase the part, so it's like an inverted part. Like let's say I added a texture here. Let's go back to properties. Let's say I'm gonna add red. So this is red. It will automatically fill the red. So in white mask, if I'm gonna use let's say I'm gonna use this brush tool, when I paint right there, it will erase the parts. It will erase the fill layer over here because it's in the folder. So in black mask, it's an opposite, like that. So every time we add paint, it will use the color over here. So that's basically how black mask and white mask work. I cannot further explain it. You know, sometimes I forgot the words or terms in English, but I'm trying my best, guys, to like communicate with you. So anyways, enough of that. So let's rename this base. Okay, it doesn't matter as long as you you know where which is which. Okay, so I'm gonna name this base, and we will copy the same color of our sole here. So this one's gray, right? Yes, it's gray. So let's copy the color here. So let's click the base color, this eyedropper tool, and let's select this dark gray over here. It's not even dark gray. Why are you dark gray? Let's remove this. Okay, now we can start working on this one, and for that we need to add a black mask and select the mesh over here. So let's click 4 on our keyboard and make sure we're in the mesh fill, and let's select this, our sole. So we can now work on our sole only. Let's say I'm gonna remove the gray and hide this. Yes, and we're now working on our sole over here. Okay, so let's bring that thing back. Next is we need to remove our metal over here. Let's click this and normal, and we only have base color, roughness, and height. So first let's focus on the roughness. As you can see, the rubber, it's not that shiny, as you can see here. Let's increase our roughness a bit. Then we need to add bumps, because as you can see, our sole over here, they have a bit of bumps like this. We'll find our let's look for something like this. We can look for free textures here. So let's add another fill layer. Then let's remove our color, metal, roughness, normal, and let's remain the height. Now let's add a black mask, and let's add a fill, and let's look for texture here, something similar to our reference, or we could just create original patterns. So let's say I'm gonna use this fabric diamond alternate. We can click this and drag it over here on our scale. Next is we will increase our height. As you can see here, we're already creating textures. Let's rename this height. Now let's click this once again. Go back to our fabric, and let's lower down our tiling like that. As you can see, we have reached the limit, but actually you can increase that a bit more. So let's type -100. Now you can see we have added already a texture or a height map, but I think we added too much. So let's go back here and let's lower down our height. I think I'm gonna make it 0.2, 0.02. We can increase our, I think I'm gonna make it 200. Let's try. Okay, it doesn't look good. Let's make it 150. You can experiment it. You can just experiment the parameters if you want. Let's see our Nike Air Max 90. Or I could just go back to my reference and see. I forgot that I have reference created, the one that we have taken photos with over here. And as you can see, it's dirty. Well, I don't have clear reference on how does the roughness or the texture of our shoe here, but I'm guessing that we have bumps to our sole, so I think we need to add bumps instead of this square. So let's look for like a bumpy texture here. I think this is the one. Let's look for bumpy textures. I think this one, circles. We can try to use this. Let's drag it over here. And we will increase our tile. Just the offset. Now we can turn on rotate by 45 degrees so that we could get that like pattern. Like if you're gonna compare it to this, I think I prefer this one. Rotate by 45 degrees. So let's turn this thing on. Let's lower down our tiling. I think we need to lower down our height as well. I think it's too much for me. 0.01 height. Then we need to add our discoloration. We forgot to add our discoloration. Let's add another fill layer, discolor. Then next is we're going to remove the normal, rough, metal height, only the roughness. Then let's change our color a little bit of dark. Then let's add a black mask. Then the same thing, the way and how we add our fill here. Let's go back to our black mask, right click and add fill. Then let's look for grunge maps over here. Let's search grunge. And you have a lot of options. You can pick whatever you want as long as it looks like it's dirty or something like that. So, I think I'm gonna use, what's this? It's too much. Grunge leak 30. Okay, so I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna drag it over here. Then let me see if it's working. Let me darken this one a little bit more. Yeah, you can see it right now. It's already visible, right? So let's adjust the scale for this one. The tiling, I mean. Like that. As you can see here, we already have discoloration. So basically we're adding imperfections to our model, or I mean to our texture. So I kind of don't like our grunge. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna drag this one, dusty powder, dusty streak, dirt thin. Okay, let me try this one. I think it kind of look good. Also, we need to change the color here. Instead of gray, I'm gonna change it to brown because it's dirt, right? We actually don't need to add that much dirt. The roughness, we forgot to adjust the roughness. Dirts are not shiny, right? Because they're sticking to our sole, so it doesn't have to be shiny. So let's lower it to increase our roughness. That I'm just eyeballing the values or parameters on our model. Okay, so let me save this. Control S. Just move it here. It took a lot of space. Next is we're gonna add another discoloration. Let's just Control D. Let's rename this color 2. Then we will change this color here, a little bit of light discoloration. Then we will change the grunge here to grunge dirt scratchy. You can choose whatever you want. So this will give you more random, a bit of randomness. As you can see here, if I'm gonna hide this one, it will give you more random stuff around your mesh. So we can also play around with the tiling. think I added too much dirt. By the way, you can manually just erase these parts. So you can see here we have created seams, but we can just fix this by manually painting this. So in order to add paint over here, paint layer, you can just right click and let's look for add paint. Now we can just click 1 and manually paint everything here. You can click X to invert this one, like you will erase like this one. As you can see, I'm erasing some stuff. We can lower down the flow so that we can get that smooth transition over there. As you can see, I'm erasing this part because the seams a little bit of obvious. And we can change the alpha brush here. You can change to grunge or dirt, I mean. So I'm gonna choose this one, dirty cloudy, so it will give you a bit of randomness the way we used our paint. You can also hit X and you can just manually paint like that. Okay, it's just some basic tips, guys, using Substance Painter, because the software is very powerful. Kind of like using the software. So I'm erasing some parts here that kind of obvious, you know, or I think I added too much, so I'm erasing them. So I want to make sure that it looks balanced, like it doesn't have to be like very dirty, or it doesn't have to be very clean. We're mainly focusing on a balanced look. Okay. We can do the same thing to our first discoloration. You just right click, add paint, and same process. That. We're erasing the parts that were obvious, you know, because the way we create our UV, we have added seams over here, so I thought it was hidden. Sorry for that, but it can be fixed easily, you know, so it doesn't have to be a big deal. You can even add a dirt over here in the middle. Like, it's not that obvious, right, because you're manually painting it, but once you started to add tileable textures, then that is a time where everything will get obvious. But if you're gonna manually paint everything like this, the seams is not visible, right, because you're manually painting, like you're adding texture here and in the bottom as well. So anyways, I think we have done on our sole. We can move on to, I think, what do you guys think? It looks like a fabric or what? But for me, it kind of looks like a rubber. But the texture kind of bothers me. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like, example, if you're walking on this shoe, some parts might be bumped and it will be flat, right? So it doesn't look realistic because the tiling here is like it's all around, so it doesn't have to be around, and the parts, some parts might not have those tilings or bumps. So let me remove those. So let's go to our height, right click, add paint, and we will start removing some bumps like this. So let's say in the front, when you're walking, you're always bumping in front, right? So these part probably will remove these bumps, like it will be flattened over time. So let's remove those. I'm manually painting them, and just also add a bit of randomness, guys, so that it will not seem obvious. I'm trying to render it. Let's make sure it's not that obvious. Here at the back, probably this part is exposed to the ground, so the bumps here will be removed or flattened. Here as well, the edges, the bumps here will be flattened as well. So inside, you don't have to remove the bumps because it's protected by the curve here. So if you're gonna bump this one in the ground, so it will be protected. So you don't have to like remove those bumps inside. Removing only the edges, okay? Or we can add a bit of random removal to make it more a bit of realistic, okay? Also, I'm trying to zoom. As you can see here, when we zoom in, we can see dirts collecting on the corners or in the tight spaces. We can add those like automatically using generators. So let's add another fill layer. That's our final task, is to add those dirts. So let's remove our metal normal. We can also remove the height. We'll mainly focus on the base color and our roughness. So let me change this to a little bit of brownish, and let's increase the roughness like that. Now let's add a black mask, and let's click this one, the wand icon, add generator, and let's click this one, and let's look for the dirt like this. As you can see here, it will automatically add dirts because we have baked our object. So that's why it's very important to bake our object, because this one will follow our ambient occlusion and our curvature. Over here, as you can see here, it uses the curvature, ambient occlusion, versus base normal, and position. So every time we add generators, it will automatically detect those. So I can explain that further, but as long as you get the idea, you know. Okay, so we can play around with our dirt over here. We can adjust the dirt level. Let's lower it down a little bit like that. This one's too dark. I think we can adjust the contrast like that. You can play around the dirt level and the contrast though. So let's try to hide this and see what's the difference. So as you can see, it adds difference to our model. We need to change our color. I think I added too dark. It has to be a bit of yellowish. It's a bit of yellowish and saturated, you know. Okay. I'm checking some parts, and let's try hide and not hide. Okay, it does give a difference. By the way, guys, I'm always saving my project because you don't know when will it crash, just in case. Okay, as you can see here, we have removed the bumps here. It's just some sort of randomness. This one, there's no bump already, right? Okay. What else? Let's look our reference. Some scratches, right? Some scratches. Okay, let's add another height. Let's add this one. Oh, sorry. Add layer over here. Let's rename this scratch. Now let's right click, add a black mask. In our layer, we will remove our normal, rough, metal, and color, and let's remain only our height. And let's go back to our black mask, right click, and add a fill. And let's find some scratch here. Let's type scratch. And we got these grunge scratches, and let's drag this one on our grayscale over there. And let's click this one, the layer, and let's decrease our height. It's not working. Hold on. It's currently not working. I wonder why. Is it grayscale, grunge. Why is this not working? Hold on, guys. I'm figuring this thing out. Let's see if we can add color so we could get that thing visible. Hold on, let's say I'm gonna delete this. Let's add a fill layer, black mask, and let's add a fill. Let's drag this once again. Oh yeah, I think we need to add a fill layer instead of a layer. Okay, sorry for that, guys. I wasted your time. Anyways, let's rename this scratch